Kabuto slides the key into the front door lock, so slowly, but it still makes a loud ratcheting noise, which irritates him to no end. When are they going to invent a silent lock? Concentrating all his focus on his hand, he gingerly turns the key. The click of the unlock makes his stomach clench. He opens the door. The house is dark, silent. That's not a burglar. That's a father, a husband, and one of the deadliest assassins in Tokyo. This is Kotaro Saka's The Mantis. I'm Zan. Konnichiwa, aloha, buongiorno, and what's up? And welcome to another installment of Spiraken Book Review, where we talk about various books. And we're in our 13th installment of Spiraken's Project 45 by 45, where I'm trying to reach 45 books by the time I hit 45. And we're making a decent clip because we're at 13. It's only February, so probably going to make it really quickly. But I digress. So let's get to it because if you remember from the last episode where I spoke about slow horses, I told you I was going to be speaking about another unique book. And this one's unique because it is the third book in a series that is about criminals. The first one last week was about spies. This is about criminals. And what type of criminals? Specifically, assassins, robbers, and thieves. Talk about Kotaro Saka's Assassin series. The first one was Three Assassins, a great story about a father and husband who's trying to get revenge for his wife's murder. The second one is the most popular, which is Bullet Train, which is five criminals get on a train and things go horribly wrong. And this is the third installment, which is what we're talking about today, and that is going to be The Mantis by Kotaro Saka. And this one is pretty cool because this came out in 2017. Originally was titled Axe. Why? Well, there are reasons I can't spoil. But the premise is pretty simple. You have Kabuto. Kabuto is one of the best assassins in all of Tokyo in the underworld. And that's not all he is. He's also a husband and a father who is trying to keep his lives separately throughout the years. This story covers the years from when his son was 12 or 13 all the way through to when his son is married and he is no longer around. Because, in most businesses like this, things don't end well. But this is that story of him through life as he's trying to deal with being a father, loving husband, good father, and just dealing with life in general as he's going through this. And that's what the story's about. There's no real overarching plot besides some elements of him trying to get out of the business, him being pulled back in, and things of that nature. And honestly, our main character, Kabuto, is one of these guys who he does his job. He didn't want to be an assassin. He kind of fell into it through various reasons. And he's just being good at his job, doing his job, working with his handler, who is a doctor, a literal doctor, who half his patients are real patients and the other half are thieves and criminals. And what happens is you go into the doctor's office and he's like, oh, well, here's the operation that you need to do. Operation, translation, his job. And he shows you a x-ray or the scan on the screen, and hidden through ways you can see the actual mission. It's actually really cool, out of sign and really smart. And then if you need anything, it's like, oh, I need to prescribe you some more medication if you need. Translation, you need more ammo. Or he's like, oh, well, I don't think you should do that because it's going to be a really costly bill if you don't take this operation. Translation, if you try to quit, you'll get in trouble. And this is the jobs that he takes, various ones of various hits and things, and then he tries to get home. And actually, one of the coolest parts about this is that this is set in the world of Bullet Train and Three Assassins, where he's actually friends with Lemon and Tangerine. He talks about them in the first chapter, where he's like, "Hey, yeah, there's that weird guy who talked about trains and his friend, and we were talking about how I have to sneak into the house because if I wake up my wife, she gets mad because he loves his wife, but he'd rather not rock the boat. And that's his whole mythology of life: is you don't rock the boat. You don't mess with things. Things have to be the way they are. And because of that, he's very particular about things. And one of the first quotes that we have for this, which is really cool, which is one of his big statements, is that that's the point of quantity for quality's sake. Far better to aim for quality, the same critique that's been made so many times since the Industrial Revolution and the advent of mass production. Saying we should all make lots of friends is basically the same as saying we should try to be the kind of people who don't cause any friction and can more or less get along with everyone. He's someone who wants quality in life, and that's why he tries to make sure his son is doing well. His wife, he tries not to make her mad, and he tries to keep making a friend. throughout the series, throughout the years. And every time he finds one, something goes wrong. Maybe a friend sees him doing a job and that gets bad. Or worse, what if one of his friends is a target? It's kind of this situation where he's trying to just find someone who can relate to all this and trying to find quality in friendship. And that's what the story's partially about. But it's also about him trying to be a good dad, yeah, being a good husband, and him living in this world. And a lot of this is a very slice of life story. It's very much here. It's a specific day. He's trying to avoid fighting with his wife. He talks about how he tries not to upset her, and also more importantly, that his most important quality, you could say, is the ability not to piss her off, not and to roll with the punch. He able to figure out what her moods are, and he actually charts it down. Like, okay, I can read this. Maybe it's because he's a sociopath and he can't deal with regular people. He has to kind of fake it. Maybe that's why. We're not sure. However, he kind of is able to analyze this. For example, another quote from the book, which works perfectly, is that he's like, "That's tough," Kabuto says politely. "It doesn't especially matter what makes it tough. Everyone in the world has something tough to deal with. So it's always a safe bet to make people feel like their struggle is noticed and appreciated." He's kind of a chameleon that is trying to fit in with all these other people while trying to keep his life and things together. It's really well translated, I have to say, and it's an engaging story that you're following him as this is going on. And then at one point, it switches narratives from the point of view of going in a chronological order to jumping ahead to the future after he's passed, when his son is trying to resolve some situations and also hinting that maybe more happened than what it was because he had his doctor's appointment before he died. So interesting. And I'm not spoiling anything about this. I'm not going to say a lot about this. I'm going to basically talk about the overarching plots of this because it is Kabuto's story to Sun's story, and it is how the series goes and the book goes. And it is well written. It's a lot of fun. It gets into this series well, and more importantly, it's fast. Fast paced story, but it is a slice of life. It is dealing with his life one point at a time. On the other hand, though, we see more of his family life than his assassin life. We do get a couple of jobs. We do have a confrontation with a character that is established. But for the most part, it's not like Bullet Train where it was fast paced the entire time, or Three Assassins where you had this ticking clock where it was over 24 hours. This is a longer game. It's we're sitting there and we're trying to digest it as we're following this. It's Kotaro taking a moment into this world and let's focus on this one character over time. And that is it's fascinating, it's great, but going off of the insane hyper speed that was Bullet Train, this is a little bit slow. I'm gonna say though, it was pretty unique though. It was pretty unique to be in that into Cicada's mindset, into his headset, and to see what he's going through and seeing his thoughts, especially when he feels betrayed by someone who's like, "You were my friend and you ran away. What the hell? Did I do something wrong?" And he's finally started to show some human emotions, or the fact that one of the most cherished things he has that keeps him going is a drawing of his from his son from when he was a child that his son gave him, which is "You'll take care of us, Dad," and that's his mantra is to take care of him. And he wants to take care of his son. His son is the world to him, even to the point where he is using money to like, oh, you want to go out? I'll buy you a house, and that leads to some things. Which, well, anyway, not spoiling anything. I will say there is a literal Chekhov's gun in this, where it's just a thing. It's not a gun, but it's a thing where in the beginning it sets it up, and then later on at the end of the book, it pays off. This happened before in Bullet Train and happened again in Three Assassins. It's kind of Isaka's thing where he sets up something early on, and if you're not paying attention, you're not gonna see it till it comes in, and it's beautiful every time it does it because you're like, "Oh my god, I didn't expect that," and that's well done. It's one of the better things of writing. But like I said, there is some pacing issues at some points when you're expecting some action, and it just kind of hand waves it over and then goes to something else. It's kind of like the joke of, "Oh, yeah, I need to tell you something," and then it goes, "Oh, no, 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 we got to talk something else," and that's a little bit of a sad thing. Now, as you saw, I have the hardcover edition, but there is the paperback edition, which I love that cover so much more. But I'm trying to collect the hardcovers, so that's how it goes. But I digress. I'm getting off topic. But the quality of the book is exceptional. It's really nice as a hardcover goes. It's very simple. It's that purple and blue, which looks really good. I mean, without the jacket copy, just simply the Mantis in purple, Taro Isaka. And also, I forgot to say the reason why it's called the Mantis when it was originally called the Axe. He constantly references mantises, specifically the mating rituals of mantises. How when the whole reason why the female mantis kills the male mantis when they're mating is because the female mantis thinks they're attacking. But he's always wondered what happens if the male mantis wants to attack one last time after his head's ripped off. Kind of a final attack, which kind of fits with this story in general, where things go. It's not what you think. Don't try to speculate. It has nothing to do with his wife. His wife isn't a murderer. His wife doesn't do with it. It's just that premise is interesting. I'm surprised they didn't use something like a wolf, because a wolf biting off the head after it's been chopped off was used in Princess Mononoke. It's referenced here, but still, this story is one which it's worth reading. It's worth digesting. It is a great story. Is it an amazing story? I had some issues with it, but overall, well done. And one other thing I do have to bring up, which is important, is just how much of a father story this is. This is the father taking care of his son. That is the main thing of this. It's a husband wife story, but it's a father taking care of his son. And honestly, one of the most important things in his ethos that he tries to teach his son is one of the last quotes we're going to say, which is, it's okay to use forces on those weaker than you, as long as you're using forces on someone weaker than them, which is his methodology. Also, he won't attack someone who isn't attacking. He won't attack a weaker person. But if someone is bullying the weak, he'll go after them. He will attack them. If they're a target, yes, he'll go after them. But if it's a regular person, like he sees someone who's getting bullied, he will take care of it. And he tries to impart that to his son, because he's trying to teach his son to be a better man, and more importantly, to be a better version of him, which is so important. It's that the passing down the lineage. More importantly, I want you to be better than me. I want better for you than me, and that is kind of a trend that we've seen in a couple of these books where we've talked about fathers. And well, I mean, think about last a couple episodes back where it was Thursday Next. Her dad is literally out of time. He no longer exists technically. He's hiding in different time places, but he's still checking in on his daughter to make sure she's okay. And well, let's get to it. So, shall we? So, what are my overall thoughts about this? Do I love it? Do I hate it? I think it's the best thing ever. Well, I'm going to give this a bar from a friend, which is our second highest rating. It's a domestic slice of life wrapped in an assassin's skin. It's well written and entertaining, though it could use a boost of more action sequences to make this more even. But it is a great story. Now, if you've read this, or if you're planning on reading this, let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Email me, zanspiraken.com, or tweet me at Spiraken. Let me know your thoughts on if you've read this and agree with me or disagree with me, or if you want to see this. I think this would be really well done. I think it would be a great adaptation if you did, well, Three Assassins, this one, and of course, the sequel to Bullet Train, which is the next book in the series, Lucky Number 7, or Hotel Number 7. But I haven't read that one yet. I hear it's from point of view of Ladybugs. I'm like, okay, this could be really cool, but I'm gonna have to wait a little bit to read that because of the project. Am I right? But if you want to check out more, if you want to watch some of the earlier episodes, or if you just want to humor me and check out some stuff, remember, you can email me, zansparkin.com, Sparkin, follow me at www.sparkin.com. And if you're watching on YouTube, remember to like, share, subscribe. And as always, click on that bell for notification for when we release new episodes. And I guess that's it for this episode. So let's get to it. So in the next episode, I've already picked my Jace author, and that is going to be Mapping the Interior by Stephen Graham Jones. Apparently, this is a story about a dad who comes back from the dead. I did not mean to pick this one up. I actually was going to pick up a Joyce James book, and then I was like, wait, this looks kind of cool. And to top it off, it's short. So I'm probably going to read this in like a day or so, and then I'll release you and tell you what I think about this. But it's apparently about a kid named Junior and his younger brother, and then his dad comes back from the dead after being dead for 8 years. So could be cool. We're going to have to wait and see, but I digress. So anyway, as usual, I'm your host, Zan. I'm Gonzo. I'll catch you guys next time. And as always, keep reading books. I'll see you later.